Yo, welcome back to the show, y'all. It is another installment of the Fandom Frequency Show. Most importantly, episode 19. We got a lot of great topics to get into today, guys. As you can see on the screen there, to your left, Lightyear is going to be one of the main topics today. Finally got to catch up on that, man. A lot of nostalgia going in for that one, and we're going to be talking about one of my most celebrated and enjoyed albums this year. One of my favorite artists of all time, all genres. Kendrick Lamar's latest, maybe greatest, we'll see about it, but his latest album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, the double disc epicness that it is. We're going to be getting into all that. And we got a lot of exciting stuff to get into with the show, man. I'm very excited about it. So yeah, man. So before we move forward in the review, make sure you click that like and subscribe button, guys. We want to make sure to get this heard all around the channel. And speaking of the channel, make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. It really helps the show immensely, and you'll never miss a single dose of that fandom dopeness going right into your feed. So make sure you don't miss out on any of that, guys. And for all of you listening on the podcast feed, much love to all of you guys. We're getting close to 700 downloads overall on the network, but we got to keep that train rolling, guys. So make sure you share the pop culture. Make sure you share the pop culture, the podcast feed with all your friends, family, coworkers. Make sure you let them know it's not safe for work, though. And make sure you follow the podcast feed as well. That's always a big help to us and really helps the show out immensely. So we'd really appreciate that, guys. And yeah, man. So as you guys see, we've been trying to keep the consistency going on the channel, which has been doing pretty good overall. But yeah, man, we got some cool topics to get into today, as we discussed before, man. But yeah, man, so I'm just waiting for my doing something on the computer real quick, but I'm gonna kill some time in the middle of that. Make sure you follow us on the social medias, guys, at fandom_frequency on IG and at fan_frequency on Twitter. Make sure you follow us over there. We get into a lot of fun discussions. We do polls, all kinds of stuff. We can connect with you guys over there, man. So that's always been a lot of fun. And for those of you plugged into the horror corner of the fandom multiverse, man, Halloween Ends just dropped its trailer tonight as of the recording of this episode. So make sure you guys check out our trailer reaction. That's going to be going up on the channel ASAP. You should see that on the channel right before you see this, guys. So by the time you're watching this, the Halloween Ends trailer reaction should be live on the channel. So make sure you stay tuned for that and don't miss that. Tune in for that. That's our very first trailer reaction we have ever done on the channel. So we're very, very excited about that. But with no further ado, guys, let's get into the very first segment of the show. What's the word, guys? All the pop culture news of the day, no matter what it is. If it's comic books, movies, anime, we always talk about it here. What's the word? All the latest and greatest in the pop culture news today. And like I've stated on the show before, we don't like to get too political or too serious. You know, when we get some big, we get a loss of the family, friends, celebrities and people we know, people that inspire us, things like that. We'll get into it, but we just want to, I know there's a lot of things going on politically and socially and stuff like that in the world right now. We're not ignoring it. We just don't like getting into all that stuff necessarily on the channel too often. We like to keep that stuff kind of off camera. So yeah, you can follow us on the social medias over there and kind of get our private pages and, hit us up about it over there, But with no further ado, man, let's get into this first news topic of the day. Scream 6, baby. It's a Scream, baby. Get it up. It's time. Scream 6 is going to be dropping next year. Let me see here. Let me get the exact date off my phone real quick. But yeah, man, in March of 2023, we're going to be getting the next installment in the Woodsboro murder saga, if you will. You know what I'm saying? But this is going to be a pretty big change of pace for us, guys. And all my fellow Scream fans, make sure you let me know what you think about all these developments in the comments below as we get into them. But just going off, man, release date, March 31st, 2023. We're going to be getting Scream 6 in theaters. But there's some kind of weird stuff going on with the title right now because there was a leaked I don't know if leak's the right word, but Melissa Barrera, who plays Sam Carpenter, one of the main characters, if not the main final girl of this new series of Scream movies going on right now, her real life boyfriend actually tweeted a picture of one of the chairs from the set, and it had Scream with 2 slashes in it, which made it look like it's saying Scream 2. Now, the one kind of funny, interesting thing about that is that there is a little bit of the shape of a 6 in there in the little blood markings that make the 2 symbol kind of looking thing. There's some like breaks in between there, and in that little space in between the 2 lines that look like it makes a 2, you can kind of draw a 6 in that little missing space there. So it's kind of weird and kind of hard to tell exactly what the title is going to be just from that little leaked photo, but I'm pretty sure they didn't want him to post that up, that's for sure. But yeah, we don't really know if Scream 6 is going to be the official title as of right now, but I'm hoping so, because that Scream thing in the last one for Scream 5 I thought was kind of stupid. I get why, just thought it was a little dumb overall. But yeah, so looking forward to that. We all know that Kirby's coming back, and for those of you that might not have known that, now you know. Kirby Reed, played by the great Hayden Panettiere from Scream 4, is returning here in Scream 6. And we got Dermot Mulroney added to the cast as well. We got a slew of some newer actors, up-and-comers, that got added to the cast. I'm sure they're going to be part of the younger demographic in the film, probably some college kids or something, because we're in a whole new territory, baby, going into Scream 6. We are getting out of the world of Woodsboro, and we're going to the great Big Apple, the Big Apple, you know what I'm saying? Scream 6 is going to be set in New York City. Guess who else lives in New York City? Gale Weathers. You know what I'm saying? So we know she's coming back. We know she is the only returning of the big 3 of the original Scream series. She's the only one returning as of right now. We did hear at a recent convention, and a convention that I recently attended back in May, Monsterpalooza, I heard some rumors on the floor from people that were lucky enough to meet her in the lines for the autographs and all that she said that she might not be coming back for Scream 6 before the big news had dropped back in June, that all the big things that came out, and she released a statement saying that she wasn't coming back and all that good jazz. But she recently just confirmed at another appearance or convention she went to that she is definitely not coming back for Scream 6. A little bit of a bummer, as she says, but she wishes them the best and thinks they still can kick ass and knock it out of the park with this next entry. So we know that she's not coming back, aka we know Neve Campbell, a.k.a. Sidney Prescott, will not be returning for this next installment, but we know our girl, Courtney Cox, playing Gale Weathers, is going to be back in this thing. We're going to be jumping over to New York City, and I think our girls Sam and Tara, our 2 sisters, along with the Meek twins, you know what I'm saying, Chad and Mindy, I think have all decided to let's go to school, let's get out of state, let's get the hell away from here. So let's go on over to New York City, baby, and let's go do that Scream 2 flavor. Let's go to college, let's get the hell out of here, and let's do our thing. Pretty sure Tara's still in high school though, so we'll see how they kind of do that stuff. But it's very interesting to see where they're going to go with that, and there was some leaked set photos of Courtney Cox wearing her loud-ass colors as usual, wearing a light baby blue pantsuit with green, I think lime green pumps. So I'm like, I don't know where the hell, who's dressing this woman, man, I swear. But the many colors of Gale have been so funny to see over the course of these 5 going on 6 films now. She's always wearing some really bright colors. I think the only film she didn't wear some really bright colors, I think, was Scream 4. Funny enough, because Scream 3, she had the yellow suit thing on for a while and some other bright colors. Scream 2, she wore some darker colors, actually, in Scream 2, so I take that back. She didn't really wear a lot of bright colors in that one. Scream 1, man, woo! We had that lime green one in the original, and we had that red one that was real loud in the last one, so she definitely likes to wear her loud colors, that is for sure. But moving on from that, the biggest news, I would say, other than the Sydney stuff and the possibility of the title reveal, is Samara Weaving and Tony Revolori, two of the really great up-and-coming actors right now, especially my girl, Samara Weaving, from movies such as, Ready or Not, and The Babysitter on Netflix, both 1 and 2. Spoiler alert for 2, my bad. But yeah, she's in those movies. And she did another movie, it was like a zombie-esque type movie she did with Stephen Wen from Walking Dead fame. I watched it on Shudder about 2 or 3 years ago, but that Mayhem, I think, was the name of it. She was really good in that. The movie's okay, but she was really awesome in it, and I absolutely love Samara Weaving. She is absolutely kick-ass, man. I love that woman to death. And yeah, man, she's really, really cool. And I can't wait to see what she's going to bring to Scream 6, get into the Scream universe, man. And whether the role is really big or really small, I'm super excited because I'm really a big fan of hers and love everything she's been doing and think she is just really becoming that really awesome and next best Scream queen, other than maybe Anya Taylor-Joy and a few others that have been kind of rolling through the horror genre. Actually, Jenna Ortega, who's already in Scream, is actually kind of becoming somewhat of a Scream queen herself. So we kind of got dueling Scream queens coming in here for this thing, and I love it. It kind of reminds me of when Sarah Michelle Gellar was cast and put into Scream 2, even though I saw it later, so I didn't know about that, in 97 before the movie came out. But when I saw it in 99, 2000, I was like, oh shit, it's my girl from Scooby-Doo. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh shit, I love this girl. This girl's hot. Who's that? And then Scooby-Doo came along. I hadn't watched Buffy yet. And then bam, there you go. So it's really cool to get to see kind of like a really big actress that's kind of up and coming and really hitting her stride, get into the Scream universe once again. A lot of people are speculating that she is going to be the opening kill, but I personally don't think so, because I don't think Radio Silence kind of making her kind of like a muse of theirs, in a sense, is going to want to not waste her, but not really use her to her most, not utilize her for her full potential, because she really is an amazing actress. So I really hope they really put her in a good supporting role and give her a good amount of screen time and something cool to do in this thing. I don't mind if they take her out in spectacular fashion, but at least let her stick around for a minute. You know what I'm saying? They already took out my boy Dewey, so stop breaking my heart, Radio Silence. Let's go, guys. So I'm really excited to see her in this thing. And Tony Revolori from the Spider-Man films and some other stuff like the movie Dope, he was really good and funny in that. So I'm interested to see what he's going to bring to this. I've never really seen him in a horror flick, and this might be his first one. I'm not entirely sure. Haven't read through the IMDb, so to speak. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of where Tony Revolori goes and how he factors into all this. But I'm very excited to see it, guys. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there any other big updates here on Scream 6? Nope. That's pretty much it, guys. So, Scream 6 update. What do you think about Samara Weaving getting cast in this thing? Were you familiar with her before? And if you haven't, go check out Ready or Not, The Babysitter 1 and 2, Mayhem, some other things that she's done. And come on back here to this video on the channel and let us know if you're excited to see her in Scream 6. And are you sad that Sydney's not coming back? I'm perfectly fine moving on without Sydney, at least for this installment. I really don't mind. I don't think there's a ton of story to mine with her character at this point, so I'm cool moving on, getting into these newer, fresher characters, bringing back someone we've only seen once before, a la the way we kind of did with Deputy Judy becoming Sheriff Judy in Scream 5. So I'm very excited to see Hayden Panettiere come back as Kirby as well. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. Are you excited about it being set in New York? I sure as hell am, because I think it's time we get out of Woodsboro and go to some new, fresh territory and do something different with the franchise in better hands and with people that really understand this thing and are fully passionate, with Kevin Williamson behind him helping them get that script together, unlike Scream 3. Which my boy Wes Craven was doing his thing, but the script just really had a lot to be desired in that. So I'm happy we're going to get back to a new location with Scream, but hopefully we'll get a much better film out of it, because even though Scream 3 is fun, it definitely is the weakest of the bunch and is the only one to venture out of Woodsboro. So I hope they don't get scared and they go in and do something really fresh and new with this one. So I'm very excited for it, but what says you guys? Let me know in the comments section below. And we're going to move on right along here, guys. What's the Word is officially over with now, because the other news topic was going to be Halloween Ends, was the trailer dropping, but it did. We did the reaction. Hopefully you've seen it by now. So we're going to move right along into one of the main reviews of the show today, guys. Lightyear, Pixar's latest and greatest flick, just dropped in theaters back in early June, but I was so busy with the 9 to 5 and getting things here on the channel, working on my album, family stuff and everything, I just did not have time to make it out to the theater to go and check it out. But I gotta say, thoroughly enjoyed Lightyear. I had so much fun with it, man. It was very, very fun watch. And, you know, I have a lot of nostalgia with the Toy Story films, all 4 of them. Toy Story 1 came out in 95. I was born in November of 94, for those of you that don't know. So that was literally one of the first films I became a fan of or ever seen in my entire life. And Woody and Buzz were 2 of my very first presents I ever received in my life. So Toy Story really goes back with me way back to 1995, 1996, something like that. So, or 97, something like that. So I have a lot of love and nostalgia for the Toy Story series. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that, for me, I really have a lot of love for it. I enjoy all 4 films to varying degrees, but I love them all pretty much, and I think they're all very strong films. I think 1 through 3 are essentially perfection. 4 is still very fucking good. I just don't think it's necessarily great, but I think it's really close, but a great ending to Woody's story and the whole Toy Story saga as a whole right there. So it was cool to step into this, and essentially what this is, for those of you that have not seen it and don't mind spoilers, or for those of you that just aren't really sure what the premise is about, it is essentially, this is set in the Toy Story universe, and the fact of this is the movie Andy went to go see in 1995 that made him want to buy that made him want a Buzz Lightyear toy to begin with. So this is a film in their universe that Andy went to go see, and we get to see the whole adventure of Buzz Lightyear as a real space ranger, and all the things going on with Star Command, and they end up essentially getting stranded on this planet when they're going to investigate it and see if there's any resources or life on the planet, a la Star Trek style. And while they're doing that, Buzz is supposed to be running this mission, but doesn't trust the autopilot and his coworkers and colleagues around him, and that becomes a big emotional arc kind of for his character throughout the film, where he doesn't trust others and always is kind of a little bit too sure and full of himself. That ends up leading him to making a decision to where they don't hit hyperspeed, and they end up getting stranded there for literally over 100 years. But the crazy thing is, when Buzz flies through these little portal things to these little checkpoint things to hit light speed in order to get him off this planet, every time he does so, he goes forward 4 years at a time every time he goes up to do this experiment. And he does the experiment about 15 or 16 times, I think I estimated. I don't know if the math is right there. I don't even remember if that was the number I came up with right now. I did see this movie about almost a week ago from the time I recorded this and when I watched the movie. But anyway, yeah. So he went around like 12 to 16 trips, so he ended up missing 100 years of his own life, but he only ages like months at a time when he does this. So Buzz is literally only like maybe a few years older at this point. By the time he's done these 16 trips, he's probably like 3, 4, maybe 5 years older than he was when he originally started. And everyone else around him, all his colleagues and everyone and his best friend, what is that character's name? I'm forgetting. I think it was Sergeant Hawthorne. I think that was Hawthorne was the character's name. She ends up like literally starting a family and then growing old and passing away by the time Buzz gets back and realizes he can't really get this mission accomplished, right? And all this stuff goes down, and then he meets his new ragtag group led by Hawthorne's granddaughter, because it's been so much time, and they have to team up together in order to try this experiment one more time to try to get everybody back home and make things right. And along this journey is so much fun, man. I really loved Chris Evans in this role of the real-life Buzz Lightyear, the astronaut, type of esque type figure that he is. And he does such a great job of playing into those Buzz Lightyear characteristics that we all know and love from what Tim Allen set up in those original 4 films with Toy Story. But he adds his own shades and his own flavor to the character as well at the same time, but still really stays true to the essence of that original character. So I really, really enjoyed that with Chris Evans' performance as Buzz Lightyear in this film. And the whole arc that he goes on about trusting others and realizing that, that he needs to trust others and those that he loves and cares about around him, and he needs to team up together to put their strengths with his strengths in order to achieve the goals that they're trying to do, because he can't do everything alone. You know what I'm saying? So I really enjoyed that arc throughout the film. I thought it was very well done and well written throughout this thing. And the whole reveal that came through with this thing with the villain being Zurg, but that was actually a alternate reality version of Buzz Lightyear from a point in the timeline in the future where he did the same thing, everything went wrong, and he was trying his best to try to get all the resources he needed in order to achieve lightspeed, go back in time, and prevent his younger self from ever going on that expedition to begin with and messing up everything and getting them stranded on that planet to begin with at the beginning of the film way back in the day. But old Buzz has kind of gone down the evil path to achieve something good, and the young Buzz realizes that if he does this and teams up with his older alternate self, a la Looper style, in order to try to erase all this stuff from happening, he's going to erase people's families and people's entire lives. Mainly that of Hawthorne's granddaughter and all the life and the whole family she created and the life and things that they loved, and the boy that she had became the granddaughter's dad, and the whole family that she made and all these people that made lives on this planet they got stranded on, all of that would get taken away from them just so Buzz wouldn't have that fuck up on his record so he could look like the hero. And he realizes at the end of the day, that's not worth it. We don't trade lives, Captain. We don't trade lives. So he realizes that he's got to do the right thing and stop his future self from coming from doing that and erasing all these people's timelines, you know? And I think that's a beautiful thing, and I really love the way that the time travel element was worked into this film. And I'm not sure if it's a little too confusing for, like, the really young kids, like 5, 6, 7 years old. But I think for the kids that are a little bit more closer to the double digits and up, I think are really going to enjoy that aspect to it. And you know everything's got a multiverse or a timeline or time travel or, you know, alternate planets, you know, space travel, all that kind of shit. So it was really cool to see all that sci-fi stuff really coming through strongly here. Really enjoyed that. And yeah, man, Lightyear was a blast, dude. The only thing I really didn't like about it overall was I thought that I thought the movie was a little too long. I thought they could have trimmed off about maybe 10 to 15 minutes of this thing. But overall, it was a very well done flick. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7.75 out of 10. I had so much fun with the film. And overall, man, I can't wait till I can get it on Blu-ray, add it to the collection over there with the rest of the Toy Story films, and watch it again with my friends, family, and hopefully my future kids to come and all that good jazz. But what you guys think about Lightyear? I would love to hear your opinion about it. Did you love it, hate it, fall somewhere in between? Would love to hear your opinion down below in the comments section, y'all. And if you're listening on the podcast, like we said, hit us up on the social medias anytime, anywhere, any place from any multiverse or any universe. We would love to discuss Lightyear with y'all. And what's your opinion on the Toy Story films? How do you rank the 4 Toy Stories in general? 1 through 4, and where does this line up with the rest of those 4 movies? I might have to do that on the channel. I don't know. Might do a ranking at some point. But anyways, would love to hear you guys' thoughts down below in the comment section below. But it's time to get into the main topic of the show today, and that is Kendrick Lamar's latest and almost greatest, I wouldn't say his greatest, but latest and almost greatest album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, which dropped back in May as well. Same day as Stranger Things Volume 1, I believe. So that was a pretty fun weekend right there. Obi-Wan Kenobi, all that crazy shit. Fun weekend for sure. Fun weekend for sure. But yeah, man, Kendrick finally dropped his latest album after a 5-year gap, y'all. It's been 5 years since Damn. Almost to the day. He even says it on the album. It's been like so many thousands of days. I've been going through something. Y'all been waiting on it. For 2 years, I didn't have shit to say, is what he said. And now I'm back. Writer's block's over with. We're going to go hard, son. And he had a daughter in between this thing. You know what I mean? With the love of his life, high school sweetheart type stuff. Kendrick's become a father. And he's been, you know, becoming a family man, raising his daughter, you know what I'm saying? I know he was out on the road for a minute doing Damn till like maybe 2019-ish. And then 2020, there was no shows at all. And then 2021 to 2022, he's been kind of easing himself back out there, doing a few interviews, a few performances at big festivals and whatnot. But yeah, man, for the last 5 years, Kendrick has been hella MIA, man. I don't know what the hell he's, other than working on this album and being a dad, I wonder what else he was doing, you know? Hopefully he had a good, you know, some good time and some good relaxation stuff throughout that. But as we see on this album, he's been going through some shit too, man. A lot of therapy been going on in the last 5 years, and Kendrick's been dealing with a lot of guilt and a lot of grief over people that he's lost in the past, lives that he's taken. A lot of really deep and emotional themes on this album, man. And I gotta say, after To Pimp a Butterfly, I didn't think he can go any deeper, you know? And silly me to think that Kendrick can't go deeper, because it seems like we never reach the bottom level of Inception with this guy. It just keeps going. It's a dream within a dream within a dream within a dream, man. So many layers to this guy as an artist. But for those of you out there that haven't watched the channel before or don't know me personally, for those that know me personally, that watch the channel, you know I love Kendrick Lamar. But for those of you fans and watchers out there that don't know me personally, I have been a huge Kendrick Lamar fan since my high school days, since I was a sophomore in high school. Listening to all the early Black hippie stuff, Schoolboy Q, Setbacks, Kendrick Lamar's Overly Dedicated, which I still consider an album and is one of his best projects for sure, still to this day. I've been a huge Kendrick Lamar fan since 2010, 2011, so I've been a fan for over a decade. I followed everything he has done ever since and love all of his work, man. I love all his albums. Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, Damn, Untitled Unmastered. I love everything the man has put his hands on. The Control verse. Anything you can think of. I loved everything that Kendrick has done. I am a huge, huge fan. He is literally my favorite modern hip-hop artist, and he is in my top 10 modern artists right now. And who knows, by the time that his career ends, and I'm an old man, he'll probably be in my top 10 artists all time. Who the hell knows, but he is definitely one of my favorite artists of all time. My favorite artist in general since the year 2000 in the 21st century. He is my favorite musical artist, bar none. I absolutely love Kendrick Lamar and could not wait for this album. Me and my homies for a while, it almost became a running joke like the Detox album. Like, I don't think we ever get in this next Kendrick album, you know? Some of us might have thought he might have ghosted us and it might have just went ahead and retired and didn't want to tell nobody, you know? It was kind of scary for a minute, man. We didn't see Kendrick for like 2-3 years, and I ain't just talking pandemic. You know, like the whole year before that, I think other than concerts, you didn't see Kendrick like the year or so before the pandemic even. And then the pandemic hits, and then you really don't see him because you don't see fucking anybody. So it's like, it's crazy, man. Like, Kendrick's really been out of the limelight completely, being one of the most famous people in the world right now. So that's pretty insane in and of itself. But getting into this album, I didn't really know what to expect when he was dropping this thing, when he announced it, and it was going to be a double album. I was like, oh, shit, man, thank you. Hell yeah. For a 5-year wait, I'll take 2 albums, you know, 2 albums in one. I'll take it. And I got to say, I was a little worried it might be too long or kind of drag itself out, but overall, I wanted to give Kendrick the benefit of the doubt since he is literally my favorite hip-hop artist right now and one of my favorite modern artists in general. So I figured I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and wait till it drops. And when it did, I listened to it at midnight right away, and I've listened to it about maybe 6-7 times since the album dropped over this last like almost 2 months now. I wanted to get to this review sooner, but kind of had some other subjects and things coming up, and I wanted to make sure to get to some of that content first because Kendrick Lamar is timeless. Everyone's still listening and bumping the album. I literally just heard someone rolling down the street close to where I live bumping the album the other day, so Kendrick Lamar definitely ain't slept on in the least, and his album definitely ain't slept on and ain't out of the conversation yet. You know, Kendrick albums tend to last in the conversation for a while anyway. And when it came to this album, man, I gotta say, I absolutely dug it and enjoyed it, man. And I gotta say, I do love the album. Big surprise there, right? Don't know where this ranks yet amongst the other albums for Kendrick, at least for me. I have to really sit down, maybe listen to some of the earlier ones and kind of really assess it. But I do think I might do a ranking of Kendrick's albums here on the channel at some point here soon because I think it'd be a fun thing to do. And it'd be great to revisit some of those old albums, man. But I love this album, man. And I gotta say, this isn't the most upbeat, banger, bump in the whip type album that you're going to hear from Kendrick, let alone most mainstream modern hip-hop artists right now. But I appreciate that he went even more introspective on this one and really touched on a lot of different subject matter that you wouldn't expect a rapper from Compton to be talking about, a rapper in general, and just mainstream artists in general, because a lot of them do not go into deep subjects like this at the level that Kendrick is at. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying nobody does, just saying very few do on that really mainstream level that use their platform to really get to some deep, darker aspects of life. And mental health is really a big piece of the puzzle in this album. And that's pretty much what this album is based around. And that's what the concept is based around, is a therapy session and the breakthrough that he went through in the middle of these therapy sessions to try to mend things from the past, heal and conquer those demons and move into the present and move into a new direction. And I got to say, all of that is just so beautiful, man. And I have a lot of love for Kendrick in that, man. And I got to say, some of my favorite tracks on the album, bar none, definitely got to be N95, Count Me Out, Mr. Morale. I actually really like Real White Steppers as well. Mirror and Die Hard. I don't remember if The Heart Part 5 is a part of the album or not, which sounds a little silly to me at this moment because I'm like, oh, you are kind of reviewing the fucking album, dude. Hold on, let me look it up real quick just to make sure. But I don't think The Heart Part 5 was on the album. I don't think The Heart is ever on his albums, any of the previous ones. I don't think. Let me double check here. Yeah, I think Spotify's... Oh, wait. No, maybe they're not. Damn. All right, we'll try Wikipedia. I want to know, is this really the 19th track on the album or not? Digital bonus track. Okay, I thought so. So the bonus track was The Heart Part 5, more of a single. That was great, too, so don't forget that. But yeah, so love all those tracks in the album, and there's really not too many. I don't really think there's any track on this album I don't like, though. So that's the one thing I got to really give it a bump up, because even some of the stuff like Section 80 or Overly Dedicated, there might be a track or two on those albums I don't like. Even Good Kid, Mad City, I think, had a song or two I don't like. So if I'm looking at that, even though Good Kid, Mad City, I would say is definitively, to this day, still my favorite Kendrick album, bar none. I will say a lot of his other albums, most of them, there's like at least a song or two I don't like as much as the other albums, where this one can't really say that. There's a couple I don't really go to as much, like We Cry Together. I don't bump that one too much. I'm not necessarily relating to that one. I haven't really had a really long-term toxic relationship in that way, so I don't really relate to that one. And plus, it's kind of weird if you're like rolling around your whip bumping that. People are gonna be like, "The fuck's up with this guy? This guy's going through something right now." So that song's kind of awkward to listen to, depending on the mood you're in. But other than that, I don't think it's a bad track. I actually think it's really well done, and it's very creative in the way that they're like arguing but rapping at the same time. It's very much like almost like a theater theater performance in a hit. I don't know. It's crazy. It's like Hamilton mixed with gangsta shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's really a well done track, man. And so many tracks on here really touch so many deep issues in ways that I never thought Kendrick would ever touch on, or even or even go into, or even affected him or had any relation to him in his life whatsoever. Because obviously I don't know the man, so as the rest of y'all don't know me, there's you never know what Kendrick's gonna be going through in that regard. But a lot of things like Auntie Diaries and Father Time, those are some great tracks right there. Like Father Time, talking about all these toxic masculinity and all the different like strained relationship that he has with his father, and just being a poor loser and all that kind of stuff, and the way that he went into the great detail on that. Because from us Kendrick stans that go back and listen to Good Kid, Mad City a million times over, you remember his dad pretty much being a character in the album, and he seemed like such a fun guy that you wouldn't necessarily think that about him. But obviously Kendrick was just touching the surface level of his dad and his personality, right? So we don't really know his dad. We don't really know Kendrick, and he even says that on this album. Like, y'all don't really know me, even though you act like you know me more than you really do. So I really found that very interesting here in the way that he peeled these layers back with people in his life and subjects and people that he's spoke about before in his previous work. But he's really touching on some layers and getting deeper into issues and the dynamics he has with these people and the relationships that he has with these people in his life in newer and more emotional and deeper ways than you would expect from someone, especially in the hip-hop community and in the hip-hop genre. It's never really been a genre that's really been known for being open with your emotions and your mental health and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of changing now, but that never really was the thing. Being sentimental and being emotional wasn't necessarily the thing in hip-hop. It was about being hard and kind of making sure you were the dopest, coolest guy in the room. So it never really was about that, and hip-hop still kind of isn't about that. But I think things are kind of evolving and changing for the better in that regard, because I think all of us men and women out there in the world, regardless, black, Hispanic, whatever, hip-hop, whatever, we got to make sure we pay attention to our mental health and take care of ourselves, because if we don't, no one else will. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely got to look into all that stuff as well. And even some of the controversial stuff that he went into, like saying the F word on the song Auntie Diaries, when he's talking about how his aunt went from his uncle to his aunt and went through that whole, or his aunt went from his aunt to his uncle in a sense, and went through that whole transformation of, that whole gender transformation right there, you know what I'm saying, and going to a whole new thing, and not even being sure what to call that relative, and people making fun of him for what the relative's doing, and for him not understanding it, but kind of growing to understand it over time as he matured as a man, is just so damn interesting, and you just would not think Kendrick would ever talk about this stuff. Now, with him dropping the F-bomb in there, I understand why he did it, and it doesn't necessarily offend me, and I think he's making a point to where you shouldn't be afraid to say a word if you're talking about a word in this context. And it should be okay for people to say the word in the context of talking about what the word is, what it means, and why you shouldn't say it, or why you should, or why someone said it, or if someone said it, or talking about a story of someone saying it. He's not calling someone the F word. He's just using it in the context of what's going on. So for me, personally, having someone in his family that is from the LGBTQ plus community, and someone that obviously does not have any hate for that community, and obviously is trying to make a point with their music, I don't have a problem with it personally. That's just me, but if you do, I understand, and I don't have any problems with that. We all have a right to be offended as long as we allow other people not to be. I think it's all good, and both sides and all different perspectives should be honored and listened to for sure. But I really thought that was very interesting, the way that he went into a lot of these subjects, man, and even bringing on controversial figures like Kodak Black to do the song Silent Hill. You know what I'm saying? Is very interesting in the fact that Kodak Black is in trouble for some very controversial things, and Kendrick's own mother went through some of these struggles in her past life and was afraid that Kendrick would go through it and blamed for someone in his family for doing something similar to him, which didn't go down, hopefully. I don't think so from what I got gathered from the album. But yeah, it's just crazy all that baggage from his mom carried to him, and then how all that baggage with Kodak is going to follow him for the rest of his career. And I wasn't aware of this stuff when I first heard the track on this album. I didn't know about that till I heard there was controversy, and then I went and did my research, and I was like, oh, shit. Didn't realize that. And I'm not discounting anything that he did or giving him a pass on that. One thing I will say, though, is his verse on this track was pretty good for a Kodak Black verse. I got to say, it's probably the best verse I've heard from the guy, or one of the best verses for sure. So he definitely stepped his game up because he knows he has to when you're going to get on the album with Kendrick Lamar, you know what I'm saying, with the GOAT. So you better step your game up. So was glad to see him do that. But I did find that contradictory and very interesting in a very Tupac way. And he was discussing before how to pimp a butterfly was going to be the acronym of how to pimp a caterpillar, and was going to be acronymed as Tupac. So it's very interesting to see kind of the similarities and kind of the parallels he kind of draws with kind of being contradictory in certain things that he's saying in the way that kind of Tupac used to do. And this is a double album, similar to All Eyes on Me, similar places in their career. Very interesting parallels you can draw there between Pac and Kendrick. And I'm a big Pac fan as well, always have been, so that was another thing that me and Kendrick kind of shared in common, was kind of a common kinship I kind of saw in Kendrick, just us two being from different generations, of course. So that was very interesting in and of itself. And for those of you that heard the stories of how we saw Dre and Tupac and Compton shooting the California Love video and all that crazy stuff, it's just crazy, man. Full circle, man. Full circle. But yeah, man, I mean, is there anything else on here I wanted to mention? Oh yeah, Mother I Sober. Goddamn. I grieve different, man. Woo! This guy just, I like I said, this album is just incredible. It touches so many places of the soul, but also has some upbeat tracks like N95 and Count Me Out, where you can kind of get into some emotional stuff, but still kind of vibe out and kind of go with the flow, or not go with the flow, but kind of vibe out and change up the pace a little bit to get your head bobbing and kind of lighten the mood a little bit, so to speak. Even tracks like Mr. Morale as well. So love the way that he kind of tossed in different things from his past work, but kind of brought them in a new way and found some new flows and new cadences to use. Don't know how he always finds new voices and cadence in different cadences to use in his verses, man. Like I said, this guy is just on a whole nother level, man. It's just so inspiring, and just I'm always in awe of this guy. And one last thing I want to mention for this album too is his cousin Baby Keem being featured throughout this album. This guy has got so much fucking potential, and I'm going to be checking out for his debut album or whatever he's got coming up soon, because this guy is fucking killing it. I love the merge between the mainstream and the lyricism that he really brings to the table. You know what I'm saying? And I think with the Rich Spirit interlude really shows the potential of what his flows can do. You can see the influence of Kendrick and that mentorship that he's probably given to him over the years. But you could definitely see that Baby Keem has his own style and has his own thing that he's trying to do and kind of break away and do his own thing. So I'm very excited to see where Baby Keem's going to go in his career over the next few years and see where he's going to go and where he can take this thing. But overall, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers is a fucking awesome album. You know what I'm saying? And may not have not rewatch, but the revisit type of thing. Like, you may not want to listen to this as much as some of his other work, I would say, as often. I'm kind of in the same boat. But when you're in the mood for something just a little bit deeper, a little more somber, something a little more introspective and thought-provoking, I think this album is definitely going to be for you. But it still has a nice balance between some more upbeat tracks, so I think you definitely should check it out. Toss it in your playlist, put it in your rotation, download, buy this thing. I'm going to try to get on that vinyl pre-order if it isn't too late. I got to get this thing physical somehow. I got Damn on vinyl right over there, and I got to get the other ones too, but got to get all the Kendrick albums. But what say you? Where does this rank for all the Kendrick albums overall? Did you love it? Did you hate it? You fall somewhere in between? I would love to hear you guys' opinion on that. I love the album overall. I think I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Great fucking album. I gotta say, 2022 has been a great year for hip-hop albums in general, and a great year for albums that I've heard so far. 2021 has some pretty damn good ones as well, so I think we're in for some good stuff as music fans, guys. But before I peace out for the night, y'all, peace out for the day, y'all, whenever you're watching this thing, thank you so much for checking out all previous 18 Fandom Frequency Show episodes for those that have. And if you haven't, make sure you click on our playlist on the YouTube channel here or get on that podcast feed and go back through the other 18 episodes of the Fandom Frequency Show where we break down multiple movies, albums, reviews, whatever, recaps, trailer discussions, speculation, shooting the shit. You know, we do it all here on the Fandom Frequency Show podcast. So make sure you click download for the podcast feed and keep this train rolling, guys. We got another episode that should be dropping within the next week as well after you guys see this. So we got plenty of stuff coming, guys. Nope is right around the corner. She-Hulk is right around the corner. Andor is coming at the end of the month in August. We got so much great stuff coming, guys. So make sure you stay tuned. You don't sleep. Peace.